Welcome to this week's blogging video. I'm so excited about this specific video because I swear I could talk about this for hours and hours. Shelby, who is my sister but also on the BSL team, this is one of our favorite topics, and she's on the side of me. I'm sure she'll have like a lot to say about this, but we go on walks and we just we'll talk about this entire topic over and over again. So it is all of my favorite business and productivity tools, products, tips kind of. So I have it broken up into my favorite products that I use for productivity, my favorite blogging books and businessy, they're not really blogging books but more business related books, my favorite podcast, and my favorite people to follow. First, I'll start out with products. I am a sucker for a calendar. My mind just needs everything to be written down, and if it's not written down, then I will not remember it. If someone tells me something out loud, I'm like, you gotta email me because I will actually not remember, and it's kind of rude sometimes how often I forget things. So I swear by this. I've always swear by a calendar and a to-do list, and I do this in multiple different ways and fashion. I almost write so many lists that it could be debatably unorganized, but I just kind of need it because that's how my mind works. So for an actual calendar, I use two different calendars. I use Google Calendars and I use a planner religiously. I'm slightly plugging our product, which just happened. We didn't even think about this, but this is coming on launch week. So they are already launched at this point, but I have been obsessed with actual hand planners for some reason. Again, I like to just write things out. It just helps my brain stay calmer. And so I have used planners for years. I've tried a million different ones. And then in college, there was no planners that were specifically for college students. And so I was always adding new pages or, different things like that. So last year we launched an actual, our first tangible product, which was a college planner. And then this year they did so well. They sold out in a month and a half. And then the people that weren't in college were we want a regular one. So we made a regular one, and Sarah and I, who are both graduated now and in the real working world, we basically went through and figured out exactly what we wanted in a planner as working women or men, it doesn't really matter. And so in this specific one, those ones are launched, so you can buy them now, but they don't start until August. But I have the college one that I use all the time. So the reason, or and this can be any planner too, but the things that I need in a planner is I'm a time blocker. So I like to plan out specifically what I'm doing every single hour. Do I always stick to that? No, absolutely not. But at least I can kind of have an idea on how my day is going to go. And so I time block on this the actual paper planner, but then also in Google Calendars. And so this is more my daily, I'll just carry this around with me everywhere. Anytime just something pops up into my head, I'll write it down in here. Usually it's really unorganized, and I mean let me find a page for you. It's more just a spare piece of paper. Okay. I just will jot down all my thoughts, and it kind of is unorganized, but it's unorganized but organized. And then in Google Calendars, that's more of my actual monthly calendar and where all of the meetings go. And I find that when I'm busier, I rely on the Google Calendar more just because I can have the app on my phone and I can pull it up anywhere, where this planner is great for when I'm in office more, but because of this house, I've just been running around everywhere, and so I like to be able to look at my calendar anywhere. So on Google Calendars, I really like the feature that you can have a ton of different calendars. So I have a calendar for birthdays, I have a calendar for business related things, I have a calendar for personal things. I have it all broken out, and then you can also share calendars. So on the BSL team, we have all of the different calendars shared. So if someone needs to know if I can attend a meeting, they can just look at my calendar and know that, okay, yeah, she's available at this time. And then something else that I've discovered in Google Calendars, I think they just added this in the last month and I am obsessed with it. You now can create like to-do lists within your Google Calendar. So I don't know necessarily how it works. I'll try to like I'll find an article and link it in this video, but that I can also do a to-do list on. And so there, like you can also share it with people. So that's just like a really good place to write down to-do lists and then you can like check off things. I love checking off things when I'm done with it. So I've been really, really loving that feature. And then 2 more places where I write down to-do lists is I'll text myself like different things and I'll also text myself links all the time. And then my email has been serving as my to-do list too. So like, again, anytime anyone needs anything from me, I'll be like, email me. The card got full. But basically what I was saying is that email, just anytime I need anything done, I'll have people email it to me. So then I can like use that as a checklist. And then when I actually do something, I will just, the email's read. And then so it kind of like disappears. So that's kind of like the products that I use. Sarah got these pens that I'm obsessed with.
Wait, aren't they good?
They're so good and they're like really thin, which I like. I think that's the reason I like them. What are they?
Uniball. They're in one of the BSL favorites.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link.
They're in BSL favorites. So we'll post that BSL favorites in the description, but they like write so smoothly. They're from Amazon. Were they expensive?
No, I don't think so.
Like $9 for like 20.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so I think that sums up my favorite products. Does anyone else have, Shelby? I know you wanna.
What?
Do you have any other like favorite products for?
Productivity products?
Yeah. Oh, sometimes when I'm like trying to be really good, I got those cubes that like time you.
You know what you haven't said?
What?
Your legal pads.
Oh, yeah, this is just another place that I do to-do lists. I'm realizing I might have an issue, and this is maybe why I forget things so much. We got this set of legal pads from Amazon, and so like, wait, Julie, if you want one, you can take one too.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, and so basically like we just keep them beside our computer, and then anytime you just need to like scribble things, I kind of use it in the same way as my planner. Like it's just like a pad where you can like scribble and write things down whenever you need to think about it. So we do like that one. All right, now let's move on to books. So most of these books were recommended by Shelby. She's a huge reader. Follow Bookasm. But these are my favorite business books that I've read so far. I think every single person should read these. They're not like specific to, they're more just like, they're not specific to any type of career. They're just really, really interesting books and can give you some helpful tips. I am not a fluff reader. I don't want fluff. I want actual, real, proven tips that can help you work more efficiently, faster, think better, things like that. And so, okay, let's get started. I have 3. Number 1 is Atomic Habits. I think Atomic Habits is...
Everybody should read that book.
I think every single person should read that book. I think about Atomic Habits every single day, basically. And it's just it just gives you like really, really good tips on how to keep up with the habit, which is so important for blogging. So highly recommend it. And again, it's like no fluff. Like it's more like psychological things that you need to do to tell yourself or do to yourself to make sure that you get things done. Like whether it's, I don't know, it's just one of my favorites. I think it's really good.
It's also super digestible. Like it's not
Yeah.
a hard book to get through, which a lot of people struggle with when it comes to nonfiction.
Yeah, it's a fast read. So like you'll get like basically like addicted to reading it and you'll get it done really fast. Okay, then 4-Hour Work Week. I do think that 4-Hour Work Week was harder for me to read through, but it's another one of those books that I think about all the time. So 4-Hour Work Week, it's like a mouthful to say, but that after I read that book was the first time that I like thought about hiring employees to help me with the website, because there was a lot of stuff that like I didn't necessarily need to be doing. And so like it just teaches you like ROI. It really teaches you what you need to be like thinking about for your return on investment, which we talked a lot about in the previous video from last week. But yeah, definitely recommend reading 4-Hour Work Week. And then this one I just finished reading this past like a few months ago, and it was so good. So it is What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. And basically it's another one of those like psychological books that teach you how to read people, how to negotiate, how to talk in a conversation, how to make people think that you're like, or like give off that you're powerful and confident. And like it even goes down to like, okay, so basically the founder of is it IMC or IMG? I don't know. It's a huge like sports management company, huge one. Like he was like wildly successful, and he worked with some of the most prominent sports athletes, celebrities. Like he had an incredible career. And what he said was anytime he was making like a huge transaction, he would take whoever he's making that transaction with to golf. And he would analyze different things that they did in the golfing game. And so like I think one of the ones that he said was like in golf you can kind of like fake your score slightly. And so if they faked their score, then he would know that like they would, you know, like make shortcuts or like cheat things, or like he would take them to play pickleball. And like in pickleball it's like a team sport, and so he would like just watch people and analyze how they acted, and if like they blamed something, like it's a team sport, so if they blame something on their partner for like them not winning or whatever, okay, if something goes bad in business, like they're gonna blame you. So it's just like things like that is so interesting. He was like, he also said the most powerful thing that you can do is to stop talking, which I talk way too much. It's one of my like downfalls because I get uncomfortable. But that's basically what he's saying. Like, you need to be the one that's not talking, because it's when there's that awkward, uncomfortable break, that's when people start telling you things that you overshare. And so, like, in a negotiation, for example, for like a house, like it would be really, really good for me to go in there, and if I'm talking to someone about buying their house or whatever, for me to not talk so much, because then in those uncomfortable moments they might give me more information that could be helpful to me. So I just think that one is like so interesting. It's really, really good.
I feel like it's also a power move to like not talk.
It is a powerful move. Yeah.
I hear you're supposed to listen twice as much as you speak.
Ooh, that's good.
Dad says he came up with this quote he's really proud of, but it might not be him.
Dad talks way too much, so he definitely
says
doesn't.
there's never a wrong time to shut up.
So true. So true. So just interesting tidbits, but like it's an entire book of things like that, which is so good. Okay, podcasts. I religiously listen to podcasts, whether I'm driving, whether I'm on a walk. I just listen to them a lot. So I listen to a ton of them, but these are my favorite like businessy ones. How I Built This is basically my favorite podcast. Well, actually all of these. How I Built This and Skinny Confidential is like my favorite podcast ever. I've listened to them for probably 8 years now, and I keep coming back because they're just full of so much information. So How I Built This is with Guy Raz, right? Guy Raz. So yeah, whatever. Yeah. Love him. And he just interviews so well, and he interviews such successful people. He asks the best questions. I just really, really learn a lot from those podcasts. And then the Skinny Confidential, I like more of her like productivity podcast, and when she like interviews business owners. She also does like healthcare ones, which I don't listen to necessarily as much, but she's also a good interviewer. And Michael, yeah, her and her husband do it together, and they ask the questions that like other interviewers don't ask. Like they do not hold back, and they ask things that I'm like thinking I want to know. So I'll be like, I wonder like if they're like, I get up at 5 a.m. and then like this is like a random example, but and then like at 6 a.m. I'll make myself breakfast, and she'll be like, okay, well, what do you do between the hours of 5 and 6? Like she just really
her favorite thing to say is, oh, can we get a little more granular?
Yeah, she gets so granular, and I just like love it. So that's those are two of my favorite ones. I also like 9 to 5-ish. Depending on who they get into interview. I'm noticing that with like a lot of the podcasts that I love, some of the interviews are starting to get not so interesting to me because I think so many people are interviewed now. So, but I still really, really do like that one. Okay.
All of these, you have a full post.
Oh yeah.
All of your podcasts.
Good, Shelby. Yeah, I do have a full post going over every single podcast most of the ones that I like. that aren't necessarily just businessy. But then there are a few other business ones that I like too. So we'll also have that in the description. And then people that I follow that just really inspire me, I look up to them. This is more subjective because it's just like, you know, like everyone's gonna have certain people that they like the most. But my top 3 people that I just think are like incredible, and I learn a lot from them, and I just think they're so motivating and just really good at what they do in their business. Emma Grady is one of them. She works with the Kardashians a lot, which also people fight me on this. I think the Kardashians are some of the smartest business women that have existed in years. Like my dad rolls his eyes at that. I strongly believe that.
Every time he says something about it, I go, I don't see you making millions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, so she co-founds like a lot of their, like basically all of their lines with them.
And Good American.
Yeah, Skims, Good American, and then also the cleaning.
One with Chris.
And, yeah.
Do you know what? If you want to say anything about the Kardashians, fine, but they are great at using their connections.
100%. Like whether they do it in they're not conventional, and that's why they're so successful. So, but Emma is like she's kind of like their operating, like, right? Like you would say she handles more of like the operations, like the Kardashians, like they handle like the marketing, like they're the face of it. And then she handles a lot of the behind the scenes of it. Her resume is unreal. The way that she talks is unreal. Like she was, what?
She's British, right?
Yeah, she's British, which like also helps because I'm just obsessed.
From what I'm gathering, the Kardashians, like this specific one, like Khloe and all of them for their brands are reviewing all of the branding and like the materials used. Like that's what they do. And then Emma, whatever her name is, does all the rest.
Yeah.
Leads all the rest.
Yeah, so I just very much enjoy following her. I think she's super regimented and scheduled, and I don't know, I could just listen to her talk like podcasts and her business stuff all the time. She was the one that recommended me. Her favorite book is What They Don't Teach You at Harvard Business School. So that's how I heard about that book, and it was really good. Next is Whitney Wolf. So Whitney Wolf is the founder of Bumble. She is just so smart from a marketing perspective, like the way that she started Bumble, and I just think like the way that they run their business, their marketing objectives is super good, and again, she's just really, really interesting, and I very much so admire what she's doing. And then Lindsay Carter is a new one that I've added to my list, and Lindsay Carter is the founder of Set Active. The reason we always are talking about her in this office, she gives you such inside details on her business. It is so interesting. Like, we are a young business, and all of this is like our first jobs, basically, besides like internships for all of us at BSL. And so there's just like some, you know, like management and how we handle our meetings and how we like, there's just so much that we don't know because we haven't worked in a legit corporate, but she's not even corporate.
Do you know what I love about her though? Is that I think
she doesn't gatekeep. She doesn't gatekeep anything.
And I think she specifically said this in one podcast where she was saying everyone likes to talk about when they had shitty days in the past. So like last week,
yes.
She goes, I'm being honest, I'm having a bad day. I cried
right
before the podcast started.
No, and I like their last launch. She is very vocal that that launch was not successful. Mm-hmm. I just think that is so, like, the transparency that she gives out is admirable. It is helpful.
And I also think it's genius because friendships are built on vulnerability, and she's trying to build a community.
Yes,
for her business.
It's such a community brand. Like, she basically, like, she doesn't just own a workout company. She owns a community, and it's, so we look at that too, because like we want BSL to be a community. Like for these houses that we're doing, we want our followers to feel like they are equally as part of the renovation process, of picking out the furniture, of decorating, of being part of that experience as we are. And so she just does such a great job at that. And so, yeah, those 3 women. Actually, do we have any men? I know I have. Oh, I really like Mark Cuban. Oh, it is Mark Cuban. I love Mark Cuban. I think he is like, I don't know. And that's another person that I could listen to like for so long. But I feel like I'm forgetting a main guy. I'll listen to any podcast he puts out there. Like interview.
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins I like too. He does good interviews. I don't know. So those are some of my like favorite ones that I'll actually like search out to see if they've like gone on a recent podcast interview, or I'll read their books.
Who wrote the 4-Hour Workweek?
Tim Ferriss. Yes, Tim Ferriss wrote 4-Hour Workweek. He has a podcast too that is pretty good.
He's had a podcast since like 2012. He was like one of the first podcasts.
Yeah. Okay, so that wraps up this video. Again, I think you can tell I get very passionate about these things. I just feel like there's so much, like all of those were very like either free, like the podcasts are free, the books are super affordable on like Amazon or whatever, and you just learn so much from all of these different things. So that is my favorite productivity tips, business things. Make sure to comment below if you have any blogging specific questions, if you have any other questions. We make this entire YouTube video schedule from questions that we receive in the comments. So definitely put them in there. Subscribe to our blogging newsletter. We give like our top tips, anything happening, algorithm changes, how we're handling it, if there's any sales on courses that we like to take or blogging products that we like to use, we put them in there. So it's just a lot of good information, but I will see you at next week's video.